Welcome to 7 Skills for the Future podcast. My name is Emma Sue Prince, and this podcast is based on the internationally selling book by the same name. This book focuses on 7 important skills. They are adaptability, critical thinking, empathy, integrity, being proactive, being optimistic, and being resilient. And this podcast is all about how you can bring these skills into your everyday life so that you are living a life full of happiness, full of purpose, great relationships, doing work that you love, and just really getting the most out of life. Welcome back to 7 Skills for the Future podcast. My name is Emma Sue Prince, and I'm joined by my producer, James.
Hi, Emma Sue, and hello, everyone. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about finding vitality and balance. So why did you choose this subject, Emma Sue?
Well, I think these themes are very topical. I feel like many people... very generally, many people don't necessarily feel motivated, and there's a lot of anxiety and fear around. So even if it's just on the very edges of our lives, it feels like it's kind of there. And I think also this theme's important because the opposite of any kind of depression or anxiety isn't actually happiness. It is in fact vitality and balance. And I think this topic is very much needed because, for more and more of us, the lines between work and leisure time, family time have become more and more blurred. We feel we need to be on all the time. And of course, this creates a massive imbalance, and that's very unhealthy on so many levels.
Okay, so let's start by defining our terms. So what do you mean by vitality?
Yeah, so actually, the concept of vitality has actually got very deep roots in Eastern philosophies and healing traditions. Okay. Yeah, so there's the ancient Chinese concept of qi, the Japanese notion of ki, the Balinese notion of Vayu, and the Indian notion of prana, and all of these refer to like an underlying life energy or force that flows through us, and it's the basis of life and health. So it's got a very, very deep tradition, and quite ancient and enduring health practices like Reiki and yoga. They focus on actually manipulating and increasing this kind of life energy. So I thought that was quite interesting. But, vitality, I think it is quite simply energy and strength. And it's about wanting to wake up and seize the day. And it's, when you tap into that energy, you feel much stronger. So I think it's on many levels. It's mental, having ideas, feeling enthusiastic, positive, not bored. I think vitality is physical. So, feeling physically strong in yourself. And I think it's also about emotional strength. And I think for me, vitality is linked to not doing things half-heartedly and really giving the best of yourself, seeing your life as an adventure, feeling alive, feeling capable, all those different things.
So you wouldn't say that vitality is just a kind of spiritual or almost sort of religious concept, though. It goes beyond that, perhaps into the more tangible world as well, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, although it has got its roots in I guess, in spirituality to some extent, it's actually a very physical thing. It's a very practical thing. And certainly the ways that we bring it into our lives are also really practical. So, yes.
Okay, so then let's talk about balance as well, the other side, the yin and yang here. So how would you define balance?
Well, I'm not sure it is yin and yang. I mean, I think balance is about feeling you have a good relationship between all aspects of your life.
Yeah, you're right. That wasn't a very good metaphor.
Yeah, it's not the opposite of vitality.
It's not, no.
Yeah. So it's being able to have a good balance between different parts of your life. So I think to some extent, we have quite a increasing increasingly demanding work culture, and that can upset that balance. But it's also how we work. So, even as individuals and freelancers, I think we need to become better at prioritizing balance so we can actually be more productive and better at work. So I think balance is also about recognizing what imbalance is. And if we're working long hours, especially, we need to find ways to create that balance or even change how we work. And I think also recognizing imbalance is, it shows up in our bodies, actually, and our mental health. So if we pay attention, we can recognize those signs of imbalance. And I think balance for me is really about daily achievement and enjoyment in these 4 life quadrants, which are work, family, friends, and self. And of course, that balance will change at different times in your life. So what is the right balance today might be different tomorrow. The right balance when you're single will be different when you're not single, or if you have children. So it's just really having that very strong awareness.
Okay, so how can we make time for these in our busy lives?
So I think with balance, it's exactly by paying attention to those 4 quadrants, making sure something's going into the pot daily. So that means good productivity at work, enjoyment at work, also very important, spending time with family and friends, investing in yourself, and doing those things each and every day, not saving it up for the weekend, but doing it actually every day. So, and with vitality, if your get up and go is sort of got up and gone, then you don't feel you can face anything. So vitality is crucial. So for both of these things, it's about a kind of daily commitment to very small activities, and that's around things like prioritizing self-care, planning our work well, communicating what we need with others, especially in terms of how we want to achieve that balance, and things like some questions that you can ask yourself, which will lead you to the answers that you need. So, for example, when was the last time you felt you achieved something and you enjoyed something at work? Because you need to have both those things. Or what about with your family and your friends, or how recently did you do something that was just for you? So try and do something each and every day. You could take 20 minutes on the way home from work today and do something for yourself. You could actually choose to do that. And I think at work, it's about making sure you aren't just achieving things at work, but also really reflecting the joy of the job and the joy of life every day. So, think about what you're putting in. And if you're bored at work, if you're not getting that joy from work, then you need to ask why, and either it's about you need to contribute more, or maybe it's time to do something else. So, there are lots of easy ways we can bring it into our day, bring both these into our day. Sometimes it's as simple as how you talk about the choices that you make. So doing something because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. So many times we'll say, well, I have to go and pick the kids up at 3:00. If you just change that I have to I get to pick up the kids at 3:00, that has like a magic effect. A really good friend told me about that tip, and I just think it's great. So just substitute I have to this is what I get to do. I actually have, I get to, it kind of just gives you that feeling of gratitude, But other simple things like get a good night's sleep, make sure you're eating the right kinds of food that give you energy, doing something physical in the morning, especially, whether that's, exercise or yoga or just getting out in nature for a walk. So I'm a huge believer of that because it really taps into your natural energy, very well researched as being incredibly good for you. So lots of ways, but it is about really deciding that you want to do that, So I know I'll talk a lot in this podcast about how we use our smartphones, and I'm going to say it again. It's if social media is something that you do, that you tap into kind of habitually, then you can create imbalance by that. If you're constantly switched on at all times, then it's about making switching off a habit, and managing that relationship rather than being a slave to your smartphone, which actually most of us are. If you look around you, the smartphone pings and up we jump,
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say is the impact then of making this choice of finding a way to get a better balance and more vitality in your life?
Well, the impact's phenomenal in terms of mental health and well-being, So, I'm a great believer in taking full responsibility for our mental health. And, that's, if we increase our vitality, we have better productivity, we have more ideas, we have a calmer mind, less anxiety. It's important to remember that anxiety, quite a lot of anxiety, we kind of produce it ourselves, shockingly, but we do, healthier body, better relationships. And with balance, you just have a better sense of control. And as soon as you've got that about your life, you feel better. It's an automatic thing. Sense of purpose, less stress, more happiness, so the impact is huge, and it's very well researched.
It reminds me of the episode that we released recently about joy and finding joy in your life, actually, where we spoke about exactly this, finding opportunities to to put some joy into your daily life. And I think there's some parallels there.
Yeah, there are, because a lot of this stuff, it is about making a conscious choice to do something rather than waiting for something around you to give you joy or to give you balance or to give you vitality. That's the thing.
So how would you link these ideas to the 7 skills?
Well, I was thinking about this. I think vitality and balance link most with the 3 skills of optimism, resilience, and being proactive. And actually, those 3 in themselves are intertwined and interlinked. They're very, very strongly connected. So, to be resilient, in our workshops, we advocate looking at the whole self. And self-care isn't actually about avoiding things because you don't feel like it. It's actually about taking quite strong action and embracing things. So resilience and that care of self and nurturing your own vitality and looking after your stress levels, really, really important. When we're proactive, we take responsibility. So we're working from our locus of control. Best place to be, so powerful. And the word vitality anyway just makes me think of optimism and happiness. It's true that once we start to act, once we start to do things to heighten our vitality, the happiness levels just increase. So I think the link is really, really strong, and it is about doing small things each day, just by making that time and just being much more aware.
So I think that brings us to the end of today's episode, Emma Sue.
Yes, it does. And thanks so much for listening, and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 7 Skills for the Future podcast. There are all sorts of things you can do to boost each of the 7 skills. If you want more ideas, you can buy the book, 7 Skills for the Future. You can also go online to our website, Unimentor, and join as a member, and you'll be able to access more resources, ideas, and free downloads. If you have a question you want to ask on these podcasts, get in touch through Instagram at 7 Skills for the Future, or on Twitter and Facebook at Unimentor. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your podcast player of choice.